So I want to ask them a question, and I tried to ask questions like that I thought that some of you guys would want to hear, because the one reason that we're doing this is I believe that what God did in them will help you. So this isn't just something that I want you guys to suffer through. Oh man, we have the teenagers talk again today. No, I want you to turn your spiritual antenna up, and what you can do, something that they've learned this week, is that you can pull on them. So if there's something that you're needing to hear, one of them probably got something this week. So there's a possibility that they may speak to you. They may even prophesy to you. I don't know. So y'all ready to answer the question? So the first one I want to ask. First off, if you're a first-time guest here, hi, welcome. You came on an interesting Sunday, but it's a good one. But anyways, the first question I want to ask, I thought of this question directly from the parents' perspective. Because how many of you in here have teenagers up here or know one of the teenagers up here? So if you live with them or you're around them, you know kind of the thought that I had behind this first question, because I know I've got two technically still at home. My other one, he hadn't quite got out of teens yet, and I know how they are with their phones. So my first question that I had that was like in the back of my mind that I wanted y'all to get the answer to was, how did you feel about not having your phone for a week? Because when we asked you to go without your phone for 5 minutes, you act like we killed you. So the whole world just came to an end. So how did you feel, or how did you handle not having your phone for a week? If you have an answer, just do that. We'll get you a microphone.
I loved it.
You loved it?
I was good. I liked it. Yeah.
So were any of y'all going into it like, oh my God, yeah, that? I can't believe they're taking my phone away for a week.
It actually wasn't that bad. I didn't think it was going to be that hard, but it was super easy. Like, I never had a phone at all.
Parents, you heard that, right? It was super easy. So, all right.
Phones will be removed later this week by the
yeah. So the follow-up question I had to that is going without your phone for a time, is that something that you think you can and probably should do more of in the future? Y'all see the hesitancy in that answer, right? Yes.
I think when you do like quiet time and you like turn off your phone, that would be a really good idea to do. Whenever you like read your Bible or something like that, because like when you did that, you didn't really think about your phone when you're worried about the presents.
Yeah, good answer. You can keep it down there. There's another one. All right. What was an expectation that you had going into camp? Jonathan, you can answer this one first. What was an expectation that you had for your youth going into camp?
So, I always do that. An expectation I had going into camp this year was, we only had one this year that hadn't been to camp. But the one that hadn't been to camp this year, I knew she was hungry. So, I'm looking at you. I wanted them to get even more than what they got last year. And talking to some of the other youth pastors at camp, I was able to go in there and I found out for sure. I had the feeling, but but this confirmed it, that this group in particular went there knowing and expecting God to see God move in a way that they hadn't before. So I just kind of met my expectations with theirs and expected them to get more than what they have before. So, and God exceeded my expectations in more than one way.
So I went to camp not expecting anything, just gonna say it flat out. But when I went, it just got better and better by the night, and like I got a lot more than I ever thought I would, and it's changed my life now. At least I think.
Well, I went to camp just wanting more. I just wanted more. I wanted to be filled more than I'd ever been filled before. I wanted to just feel his presence in the room, and I wanted to overflow and go over all over the people that I come into contact with. And I feel like I've accomplished that. So.
And she was so excited about church camp that she went to another camp the next week. So that you guys actually answered my second question, and that was, did God meet or exceed it? You know, I told you guys that I was going to camp. I wanted to go selfish. You know, being a pastor, and I was talking to a couple of them this morning, you know, being a pastor, you get so caught up in doing a bunch of different things, you get really, really busy. And so I knew that I was going to be down there for the week because they asked me to play drums. I spoke one night, but I was like, the rest of the time, I just wanted to be selfish, and I wanted to, you know, get as much out of it for me as I could during the week. And I've got to say, like, God definitely exceeded anything that I thought that was going to happen that week. It was pretty amazing. I'll show you guys. I should have showed it at the beginning when they were setting up, but I didn't. So when we get done, I'll show you guys. We have about a 3-minute or so long video that just kind of a recap of the whole week, and you'll see some of the things that they entered into. It was pretty crazy. So now we got to get a little bit more serious. So actually, let me ask this one, and then we'll get serious for a second. What was your favorite part of the week? What was your favorite part of the week?
Thursday night.
Thursday night? Explain to them because they don't know Thursday night. They have no context for Thursday night.
Okay, on Thursday night, Miss Lisa, right? Yeah. Miss Lisa was supposed to preach. She didn't end up preaching, but she ended up making practically everyone fall out.
So I'm going to have to say Thursday night, too, because that was the night that I got filled. Like, that was my night that I got everything that I wanted and more. And so that just was my favorite night. And I fell out that night for the first time. Best thing I ever did. Like, that ever happened to me. And I actually went up Friday night, and I got prayed for by Miss Lisa again because I wanted to feel that one more time before I left, and I got it again. So, yeah.
I loved all the nights. Thursday night was the best night. I fell out too. But I like quiet time too. But I have to say, my favorite is probably the biscuits and gravy. It was just my favorite part of camp.
What morning was that?
I think that was
Was that
Wednesday
Thursday?
morning.
Was it Wednesday morning?
Wednesday morning, and then we had the big breakfast on Friday morning. And no, we had. Yeah, I know. During the big breakfast on Friday, and then we had it on Wednesday, and we had it on Friday.
There, yeah.
It was
So,
just so good.
who likes biscuits and gravy? So this is something that me and Jonathan got to mess with them about this morning because they get biscuits and gravy, but we get biscuits and gravy. So if you go as a leader, then they home make gravy. With bacon juice, and I got bacon that day, and I had people mad at me. Was like, dude, how you get bacon? I was like, because she likes me more. But so yeah, we get homemade gravy, and then they get the other gravy. But I had some of that gravy because somebody didn't give me the right stuff, but it was still good either way. So I can agree, the biscuits and gravy was amazing.
Honestly, Thursday was pretty awesome, but my favorite time was quiet time because, like, it was a different atmosphere, and the kids got to make the atmosphere. Nobody tried to do it. It's like the kids fully wanting God, and so we were able to kind of lead where we went, and a lot of it was worship. A lot of us was jumping around dancing, and it was so much fun. So much fun.
Weston, what about you? What was your favorite part of the week? Have you went one time before?
Like 3 years ago.
Yeah, so this is your first time in a while. So what was your favorite part of the week?
Definitely your service. Amazing.
Oh, really? Stop sucking up, dude. So what was my message? What was my message about? Trans- Transformers. He's right. He's right. It's about Transformers. Good job. So I asked that question. How many of you, like Kelvin, you could probably attest to this? Like people, Pastor, that was a great message. Oh, was it? Yeah, that was amazing. What was it about? So speaking of Transformers, what was something that God transformed in you during the week? What was something that God transformed in you?
I think I went in there feeling unworthy, and so throughout the week, I really, really struggled with it, and actually didn't feel that I was worthy until the end of the week, until Miss Lisa prayed for me on Thursday night, and so I kind of got past that and realized that I'm not worthy, and I say that I don't really know how to explain it the way that she did.
Yeah, you.
I don't want to cry.
It's okay. She already broke the ice. She already broke the ice, so it's okay if you tear up a little
The
bit.
thing is you're not going to be worthy. You're not, you know? And so I was so bent out of shape on that I needed to be worthy. And when I finally realized that I don't, I was able to actually break out and be able to worship and other things.
All right, anybody else? What did God transform in you? Go ahead.
So I feel like he transformed everything in me because I don't know how to explain it either. So I went in there playing church, and I'm just gonna admit it. I was playing church, and I never thought of it as that bad of a thing. But then once they started talking about it, they started saying like you're two-faced if you're like they kind of were talking about playing church, and I kind of realized I'm like, oh, I'm playing church. And then as the nights went on, he started taking away and breaking off everything that was making me play church, kind of, and like just kind of took me away from that. And then I finally got my time with God, and I finally got what I actually needed, and not what I was doing or what I was wanting. But I got what I needed, and that's really what I need.
I don't know, just everything pretty much. So, one of the things that I struggle with a lot is like feeling God's love for me and feeling like he sees me and cares about me because I'm just me. But God told me that like he does see me and that he does love me and he cares about me and that he chose me for me. Yeah, so I guess he kind of just transformed the way that I thought about myself and about him.
You can answer that question too.
So I went into this week like a little bit different because last year when we went, God just really did some things that if I'm being 100% honest, I wasn't going there looking for this, and then I showed up and he did something. So this year I just kind of went into it very just, God, whatever you want for me. And I don't know if I walked away with like a moment, if you will, of like, this is my moment of transformation. But through Miss Lisa, God gave me a word that I'm still wrestling with a little bit, if I'm being 100% honest. And the thing that it scares me a little bit, if what God is saying is which I'm not doubting it, but like if that's really what he wants for me, then it challenged me in a way. And it challenged me to be more than what I am now and to become better than what I am now. Not that I can do it, but that I have to lean more into him. And so I don't want to say I had like that moment of transformation, but I definitely got led into something that will be transforming in me, and it'll be a process that'll take some time. So, yeah.
So if you guys can be thinking, if you have a question you want to ask, you can ask it here in a second. So what is something either doing quiet time or floor time? How many of you know what floor time is? So if you don't know what floor time is, then you probably do. You just think it's weird. So floor time in Pentecostal circles is when the power of God hits you and you can't stand and you just lay down. Either you lay down or you just fall over. Typically it's fall over because it's not voluntary most of the time. But so I call that floor time because a lot of times on that, every once in a while when that happens, it's one of those things like as soon as you hit, you're out of it and you're like, okay, wow, that was crazy. I don't know what that was. But then there's those moments, if you've ever had it happen to you, there's those moments when it happens and you feel like you just need to stay. It's not, God, I'm not in a rush to get up. I just know I need to stay. And in those moments, then he can speak things to you because he's got you in a position where you're just surrendered to him. When so many other times our minds are so caught up with all kinds of different things. So quiet time is also every morning that they're there at camp, we just put all the kids in a room. Don't y'all wish I could do that at home? We put all the kids in a room, we close the door or turn music on, then we close the door. And we just let them have their time with God. And typically doing that, you can sing, like Autumn was saying, you can sing, worship, you can read your Bible, but then also we encourage them to take note cards and stuff with them so they can journal and they can actually write down things that they feel like God is speaking to them. So my question, again, is what is something that you felt God spoke to you during either one of those times?
It's not like, well, I guess he did speak to me, but during quiet time, I was able to like write prayers for things that I was struggling with in a way that I've never, like, if I say it, it would not come out as good. Or if I would write it on a normal day, it would not come out as good. But during quiet time, I was able to write prayers that helped my heart to go through that. And like God was talking through me through those prayers, being like, hey. And so I was able to confess things in the prayers, and it was really nice.
I got to read some of the stuff, and it was powerful. I'm just saying. So
I got to read only one of them because you haven't given me the other one yet.
Sorry.
Don't worry, he hasn't given back to me either.
So I fell out on Thursday night too, and then I was like super drunk afterwards.
We got a so how many of you guys?
Holy loopy.
This is
what
when
I
we need
call
that
it.
record scratch thing we were talking about back
Yeah.
Holy loopy.
Thank you, Holy Loopy. It just sounds so bad when you're listening to a kid talking about I was drunk. It's like, what kind of camp did you take my kid to?
A good one.
Sorry, go ahead.
So then I was sitting there laughing hysterically on the floor, and then they had to like drag me out of the way a couple times. But like that was my first time falling out because like past years I would be like, okay, God, like I want to fall out because like that's what we do. It's cool. But then I would like fight it because I didn't want to because it was scary. So then on Friday morning in quiet time, he told me that he was proud of me, and then to let the joy that he gave me overflow and let his peace encompass all else, and that he loves me, and that I needed to continue to draw closer to him, and as I did, that he would continue to work in me, and that he would do great things.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I had just gotten done worshiping and stuff, and I was like, I felt him moving, and I just went to go sit down, and because I felt him like trying to speak to me, and I got this I'm using imagery here. It's a coffee cup, and you're filling it with coffee, and it's just overflowing with coffee, and
Some of y'all know what she's talking about.
anyways, and I just got to thinking, people drink coffee every single day because it makes them feel good, right? It makes them not it makes them it makes them not angry. It helps them to just, they don't hurt as much. And I just got to thinking, what would happen if we drank of the living water every single day? And so the verse that I used for that was John 4:13 through 14. It's drink of the living water and you will never run dry or thirst. And it just kind of spoke to me, and I just kind of wrote it all down on this paper.
Yeah, that was good. But going into camp, I had a lot of doubts about God's love for me. Like, I thought that, like, I was loved less by God, or, like, you know, how people, they try to describe his love and, like, experiences of his love, and I never thought that was, like, for me. Like, I never thought that I could experience that. And Thursday night when I fell out, that's what he did. He poured his love out over me. And that day during quiet time, he spoke to me, and he said that he wanted to pour his love out on me, but I didn't really think anything of it. And so that night, that's what he did, and it was beautiful. And then it was just like a conversation back and forth while I was down there. Like, I never wanted to leave that moment. So.
It wasn't just quiet time. I did fall out. And do not tell your pastor when you're trying to run away and get up, because he'll come over and pray for you and just knock you out again. Learned that the hard way. But I was able to learn to, like, kind of not try to run away from it, to, like, let it fill me up, to let it overflow.
So I didn't get told this during quiet time or anything. It was on Friday night when we went up to get prayed for. A bunch of, like, almost all of the kids came up to get prayed for by all of the staff. And I was waiting, and then I wanted to go get prayed for by Pastor Jonathan. But then I don't know, I just didn't want to wait for it, I guess. And I walked up to Miss Brandy, and she prayed, and she asked me what I wanted to get prayed for. And I just said, pray for me. And she told me that it's okay. What she was hearing is, it's okay. And I was bawling my eyes out already. And then when she told me it's okay, I was like, what's okay? And she was, like, explaining to me what she was hearing from God, and he was telling her to tell me that it's okay. And I didn't understand what she was telling me by, like, what's okay, but it was okay. And then I later got prayed for by Miss Lisa, and she told me that it's confidence. And I always thought that I needed to be this certain person to be able to fit in, or to be able to be loved by anyone, or to have any friends or anyone who actually believes in me. So I thought I had to be this one person to be able to do anything in life. But all I needed was God, and that he believed in me, and that's all that matters. And so I kind of got, like, I don't know how to say it, but that's gone now, and I now know that all I need is God to believe in me and nothing else. And that he kind of told me that, and he was telling me that it's okay, and that really spoke to me after that. And now I know that I don't really need anything else except God to me.
Okay, I'm not too sure if this counts, but I'm gonna count it. During worship, I decided to sit down against a metal pole. Like, the metal pole was right behind me. And I just started praying, and then I got quiet, and I felt this hand on the back of my head. I looked up a little bit later, like after it left. No one around me had that big of a hand. And then I heard a person tell Miss Lisa that he hasn't been prayed for yet. And then she laid hands on me, and I fell out while sitting down. on the ground.
You know, floor time on Thursday. So I had this thought. How many of you guys have watched like old Pop Hagen videos? Like when he would have the Holy Spirit move and he would just do that and like whole sections of people would fall over. Like that kind of thing is what they stepped into Thursday night when Miss Lisa, we got our second song into worship and she was like, okay, I got to go. I can't preach. Like, I got to go now. My whole arm is tingling. Like, and she just took off and was like, okay, get up here. And so nobody was immune, which I didn't think about this. I don't know if you guys thought about this at all. Tuesday night when I spoke, one of the things that I said is that I pray that we have such a move of God that nobody's immune, that nobody's left out.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about that until like a couple days ago. Like we were home from camp and just all of a sudden God just brought that back to my memory. And I was like, oh, wow, you did. Because nobody was immune. Everybody, there was one kid, what was his name? Colton? The one that got prayed for Friday night with the shoulder that I told you about. Kaysen. So there was one kid that he kept moving. Every time Miss Lisa, she just kind of went down the room like this, back and forth. And they had people holding her up because the power of God was hitting her. And so when she'd pray for people and they would go over, she's like, oh, and then you got like 4 or 5 people like pulling her back up. It was pretty intense. And so you've got, I mean, it was crazy. Like you got people in everywhere. That's where Maya said she got drug out of the way, because we needed that space to be able to walk back and forth. So it was like, it looked like a war zone, because me and somebody else, like we picked one kid up. Like they had the top half. I grabbed his legs and we just moved him over to the side and laid him back down. But this kid kept moving around, trying not to, he was kind of a little bit leery and he kind of moved around. And then Friday night came. So Miss Lisa, she touched all of the people all the kids, all of the leaders. Like she got, when I say everybody, she got everybody. Like there was the sound tech was not safe in that place. It's like, hey, you want to get up here? And just boom, you're on the ground. And that had people cutting in line, kids getting up, getting back in line because they wanted more. They're like, wow, you little stingy little thing, you. And so that happened Thursday night. Then Friday night comes around, and Dr. Phil, the youth leader down in Queen City, he speaks his message, and he had a for real heart. He had a cow heart in his hand doing his message. So that was pretty interesting. But at the end of the message, it was for a reason. At the end of the message, they just invited the kids that needed to have hooks and different things removed for them to come up for prayer. And they just asked the leaders to come up. And this same kid was standing in the back of the room. Well, he made a mistake earlier in the day and told me that he had a hurt shoulder. And so I was like, I wanted to pray for him right then, but then I was like, no, I just felt something on the inside of me. I said, no. I said, come up tonight when they do an altar call. Get your shoulder prayed for it to be healed. And he's like, tonight? I said, yeah, tonight. So we're going through Friday night, and I remember him, and so I go on a hunt, and I find him sitting down, not up front. And I said, hey, did you get your shoulder prayed for? He said, no. And I said, go now. And he's like, can you just do it right now? And I said, nope. Remember what I told you. You go down front, you get prayed for, your shoulder is going to get healed. And so long story short, I get him to go up to a leader that was only there. He's a senior pastor at another church, and he was there as a helper for prayer. He didn't want to lay hands on people. It wasn't something that he thought he would do in the moment. And so I set him up, and I said, go to him right there. And he said, what? I said, go to him right there. And he's like, okay. And so he goes up, and the pastor, when he tells him, I want you to pray for my shoulder, him and another pastor looks at me, and they're telling me to come up there. I said, nope, you. And the one pastor's like me. I said, no, him, the one next to you. And he said, him? I said, yeah. And he's like, how dare you? He begins to pray for the kid, and you can just see God hit him. And the pastor, as he's praying for this kid, the kid just falls back. This is the same kid that Thursday night was running. As the pastor is praying for this kid, the kid just goes. And the pastor, he starts stumbling, and I was talking to that kid's sister, and because she was on the worship team with us, and I was talking to her, and I was like, did he just fall? And she's, oh my gosh, he did. And then the pastor, you see him, and he just sits back because the power of God settled on him, and he's like, his eyes are like super wide, and he's sitting there like, what in the world just happened? And the kid's just laying on the ground. Well, then a couple seconds later, the kid starts moving, so I walked over, and I did like this. How's your shoulder? He's, huh? No! What? No! And I said, yep, I told you. I told you. And so he got more than what he was expected. The thing that he was running away from, God made it happen anyways. And, we say all this stuff about camp, and it doesn't seem like, oh, this just, was this really worth taking up a Sunday? Yeah. Because what these kids stepped into, and Jonathan can attest to this, like, they didn't wait. It wasn't, hey, we're going to wait till Thursday to jump in. It was Monday night, first service. They jumped. They were like, hey, we're here. Let's go. They had a guest singer that he sings different areas. He sings with Gateway Church down in Texas, but he also has some ties to Maverick City Music, and he was there Monday night and led worship, and he kept asking the team and the leadership there Monday night when we got done, how did you guys do that? How did you guys do that? And they're like, how do we do what? He said, how did you get them to enter in like that? Because pretty much everywhere I go, you've got to build up to that. You always have to do 2 or 3 songs before they really jump in, and they said it wasn't us, it was them. Like Jonathan said, these kids, they went hungry. They didn't want the same old, same old. They didn't want just another week away from their parents, even though I know that was a plus. Like, except for that one. She just looked at me, what'd you say? You are one of my parents? Yeah, you are one of them. I did try to stay away from her, though. I did. She didn't see me very much. But but these kids, they weren't going just to get away. It wasn't a vacation. It wasn't just let's go have fun. They did have fun, but it was there's something there that I want. And the second they got there, they're like, I'm going after this. I'm going after God. I'm going after, whatever it is, I'm letting go. So they didn't care about falling out. It wasn't a big deal. They don't learn that typically till they get older, and then it becomes this thing that you don't want to do. They didn't care. They're like, I just want God. God, if you want me to fall out, I'll fall out. If you want me to shout and praise, I'll shout and praise. Even Friday night, there were kids they'd get up, they'd fall, and they'd get up and come back. I had one kid 3 times come to me. He came up to me, this little kid, I just want more. It's like, I just want more. Like, shouldn't it be all of our hearts cry?
Yeah.
Like, God, I just want more. He said, I just want more. I was like, okay. And God did something in me. This is something that he transformed in me, because that same unworthy thing that they said was something that I was dealing with too. And I had Miss Lisa also gave me a word Thursday night. I know I'm talking way more than what I thought. But Miss Lisa gave me a very, very long word. He was right there. And I don't even remember everything. Like, it was a lot. I heard some of it, and I was like soon as she said it, this thing on the inside of me, and it's so crazy the way, I told them it's so crazy the way it happened, because it wasn't like the enemy was talking to me. It was like I was talking to me. It wasn't me. It was my voice, but it was the enemy talking like I was talking to myself. It was this weird thing. And so the minute that she would say something that God wanted to use me for, then I would hear this thought, I'm not able to do that. Why do I think I'm worthy for God to use me for that? Why do I think God can use me to do that? And then she'd go on and say something else. And it's like, why do I think? And that's the thing that got me. I was like, wait a minute. He's not coming directly at me saying, why do you think? He's making it sound like it's me. And I did the thing that Autumn said is actually what I started doing when I was on my knee. When she was praying for me and I had that thought of why do I think I'm worthy? What makes me worthy for God to use me? And I said this out of my mouth, and I didn't say it very loud. I said, I'm not worthy. There's nothing I can do to make me worthy. But I'm not worthy because of what I do or don't do. I'm worthy because of who he is. So can God use me for this? Yes, he can. And then I started praying. I said, God, my answer to you is always yes. My answer to you is always yes. And then I started repenting. Father, forgive me for the times when I didn't say yes. Forgive me for the times when I know that you prompted me to do something and I didn't do it. Forgive me for those times. But my answer to you is always yes. And that tied into some of the things that she was telling me. Because my answer was yes, then he was going to do this, and this. So we went down there to receive. As you can hear, they all got something. I want Weston to talk more. I think Weston got more than what he's saying. But, we all got something more than what we were realizing, more than what we thought. That's kind of what Jonathan was alluding to with the word that he got, because he told me what it was, and it is a very challenging thing when you don't see yourself in that light. But at that point, it just becomes, okay, God, it doesn't matter how I see me. If this is the way you see me, then help me become what you see. And so I'll tell you that. It don't matter how you see you. It matters how he does. And he knows what he put on the inside of you better than anybody else in this world. So if he put something on the inside of you, don't fight what he created you to be. You just become what he's created you. Right, y'all? Yeah.
Oh no, one thing that I love about going to camp every year is we come back and I look at these kids and I'm like, well, I'm about to be out of a job. Because you heard some of the stuff that they just said, and they didn't prep sermon notes, and they didn't spend 3 days trying to make a message, and they can preach something, and they can say something that's more powerful than what I can come up with in a Wednesday night. So every year I come back and I'm like, well, I'm out of a job. These kids don't need me no more. So, but I love it. I love it because me and my wife have been blessed to steward this. And one thing that was an interesting thing this year going down compared to other years and just talking to some of the other youth pastors is I didn't take a group that I knew they needed a bunch of like open heart surgery. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't taking a bunch of kids that I knew were troubled kids. I wasn't taking a bunch of kids that I knew, like these kids up here, I've watched them get breakthrough, So, and I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not saying there's something that they don't need, but it's not like they're this kid that's on the edge with their faith. And if they are, they haven't told me about it. So it wasn't like going down there and I'm like, God, I need, I'm praying for these kids like, God, this kid's, thinking about walking away from his faith. God, you need to, you need to do this, that, and the other. It was, God, I'm taking a group down there that is hungry and powerful already. And I want to watch what you will do in them. And I'm blessed because I just get to go down and like Pastor said, I go for me. Like, I really do. I go for me, and I tell them this, like, I'm going for me. Whether y'all are coming or not, I'm going. Because, and something that I'm come to realize, like, even more so this year than last year, I got blessed by watching what God was doing in their lives. I didn't need a word. Like, Thursday night when Miss Lisa was going around and God was flowing through her like he was, I only got in line because he told me to. Because I was back catching and just, I was happy with that. And he told me, he was like, hey, go get in line. And I was like, crap.
You weren't the only one I sent in line either.
No. Yeah. So, and he did. And so I was like, okay, this is fine. But I say all that to say, I go for me, but I went there, and I want you all to hear my heart on this. Y'all blessed the snot out of me this past week. We sang that song earlier that miracles happen when you move, and I can't say that I've experienced a lot of miracles. I haven't laid a lot of my hands on people who watch miracles happen. But I've watched God do a miracle in each one of you. So there's no question in my mind that when God shows up in the room, miracles happen, because I can look back at you guys and know that God is doing something incredible. I've already told you guys this. Y'all challenge me. Y'all challenge me on a day-to-day basis, because we go to things like camp and we go to things like the youth rallies and we have our conversations that we have after Wednesday night, and I think, holy cow, these kids are so hungry, and I've got to steward this, because I don't want to sit back and be a lackadaisical pastor and just let them. I want them to lead, and I want them to have their own relationship with God, but I don't want to sit there and just, if I'm going to push them, and this is something we talked about with the leaderships, as a leader, if you want your group to be here, as a leader, you have to be here. You have to be. And when I watch them start to catch up with me, I go, oh, Lord, have mercy. And it challenges me, but it blesses me, because it makes me grow. So I don't know. I don't have words. Between everything that's happened in the past week and things that have happened when we got back, I'm excited, but it's that, oh, Jesus, what are you about to do type excited.
TD Jakes put it, get ready, get ready, get ready. Y'all have any final words?
I think the whole group, youth group feels like this though, but we do thank Jonathan and Lacey and Donta for all that they do. And like, yes, we're hungry, but you also guys help feed that hunger for us and like push us towards where we need to go. And if we didn't have you guys, you know, we wouldn't always be on the right track, because you guys help us. You're like, hey, no, over here. You know, and even the people in the background that we don't always see working and helping, you know, we appreciate all of you guys.
Weston, final words?
No. Those burgers were busting, weren't they? This guy's funny if you don't know. I know he's like real quiet and laid back, but this guy's funny as can be. This guy was cracking me up. We roomed together, and he was cracking me up. I couldn't go to sleep. I was too busy laughing.
And he learned how to do something when we were there. What was it that you got to? You were showing them Wednesday. What was it?
I can't think of what you might be thinking of. No.
I think it was a dance.
I should probably just walk off the stage.
Do y'all want to see what he?
No.
Y'all want to see what he learned?
No.
Don't look at me so mean.
How about you do it? Okay. No.
I'll do it if you do.
No. I'm not doing it.
You first.
I'm not doing it.
You first.
I'm not doing it.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
We got to hang out a little bit in the hallway, and he's like, "So how do you moonwalk?"
Oh, yeah.
And so I got to show him how to moonwalk, and Wednesday night he was doing it. He was like, "Look, I've been practicing. Like, I got it much better." So I was trying to get him to do it for y'all, but he won't do it.
So between all the chairs he can lift and the fact that he can moonwalk, he is basically, from what it sounds like, at the top of the church hero board when it comes down to the youth group. Zach, you've got some work to do, buddy.
I don't know.
How to moonwalk.
Girls, if y'all looking, no, I'm joking.
This is what you're working
He's
with.
like, that's weird. One of them, my sister. But no, we're having fun now. But we really did have an amazing time there at camp. Thank you so much. So why don't you give yourselves a hand? Because go ahead. And I'll tell you why. So the fundraisers and things like that we did that you gave to allowed for them to go down and experience what they were able to experience and to step into. So it's because of you, because of your giving. So the stories that you hear about their transformation, the stories you hear of how God moved in their life, that's because of you. So pat yourself on the back. Thank God for blessing you and putting you in a position to where you can bless them and give towards that. So now, why don't you give yourselves a hand again? I want to see how much better you do. Go ahead.
Can I tell him the number?
Huh?
Can I tell him the number we made just off that fundraiser? that
Yeah.
cool? So we did that fundraiser with the envelopes, and I just want to say, like, I know that times are tough right now and everything's tight, but y'all gave over $3,000 in that last thing. So not only did you send them to camp, but you gave us the opportunity to go do so many more things, because something that comes with stewarding this is we want to do more, and we want to be able to do that. And now I don't have to. It will not. Next year, I won't have to have the question of can I afford, or do I want to ask these kids to spend money, or ask their parents to give them more money to go do this. We can just say, hey, you don't have an excuse. You're going because it's free. So thank you guys so much for everything that you guys did.
Did y'all have a question y'all wanted to ask? The people want it, Weston. Yeah, Pam's like, we're gonna put a box down outside. We're gonna have an old school breakdance competition.
There's a girl there that could freestyle rap like insane.
Just
Just
to let
a
you know,
camper.
she was on my group, by the way.
Yeah, we're not gonna get into that. So, does anybody else outside of wanting to see Weston do the dances? Anybody else have a question you want to ask? No. Oh, yes, sir.
I just want to say that almost every single person up there said the word more, and I think that's what God's trying to tell them.
Get ready for more. So we have anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I love Moex. I love the time that God meets us like he did y'all. But I want you to know what he told you was from before the foundation of the earth, what he has planned for each and every one of you. Don't ever forget that what he's put in you is eternal. It's eternal. It's not just something you run into. You're just seeing it.
Yeah.
Seeing it. That's what it is. It's eternal. And I want you to know that all that's been planted in you before the foundation of the earth. Okay?
Do not forget that.
That's right. That's exactly right. And it doesn't die out. It's not something that's just an experience. And we were talking about this Wednesday night. It's not experience to experience. It is something that you feed at home. Continue with that relationship so that it doesn't die out. And you can go from, as you were saying Wednesday night, from glory to glory. And each time that something hits you, every time something comes against you, this power that God has given you will help you sustain. And then as you go through each one, you'll go higher and higher and deeper even with God.
Good. That's real good. Huh? Okay.
Okay, so we've been talking about transformation, of course, as you know. And my main question was, so they expect us to come back and, keep this with us, not just a few months and then just let it go. We want this to stick with us. And then so when we go to next year camp, we get more. We expect more. And my question was like, why your parents send you off to do this, or you decide to do this, but your parents are still on your side. They really want you for God. And I was like, why do we have to be the ones that are always trying for more? Why can't our parents do it with us side by side of asking for more? And I think I was kind of talking to Donta, and I'm not not everyone, but for me, worship, at least for me, I love when everyone's together for worship. Everyone's out there for worship. And it was really nice to see even the interns with us were even out there. The adults that came in, the cooks, when they didn't have anything to do, they came in, they worshiped with us. They were side by side. They weren't just expecting us to carry the atmosphere along. So, yeah.
So she asked me that question. I was like, I can't really answer that because it's not just a question, it's also a challenge for us. And I love it that it's coming from her. I could say something like that and you'll forget it when you walk out of the room. But it's coming from a teen in your church that's asking, will you do this with me? Instead of making me be the one at the age I am, making me be the one that's having to stand for you. Will you stand with me in worshiping our God? So it means more that way, yeah.
I'm making a challenge for worship. Like, don't just expect the teenagers to come up here, you know what I mean? Like, if you can get out of your seats, if you can come up here, not just us jumping around and dancing, have the adults jumping around and dancing, because that also gives us more of like a hope, not really a hope, but like pushes us more too, because we see, hey, the adults are doing it too, like let's get into it. Same way as if we see each other do it, we just go more into it.
Yeah.
You guys do that for us. You're on the front row. There wasn't hardly anybody around, and I'm like, okay, y'all can see me, and you guys came out here, and that encouraged.
Yeah. And it does, and that's what she's saying is like, and that I love this generation. I love that we're having this talk. I really do. With this group up here, some of them were in the youth group when I was in there, and some of them I've had conversations with outside of the church, and especially this one. But that's one of the things that will come up in our conversation is if you will stand, you won't be standing by yourself for long. And we've seen that the transformation that we've seen when I had one of my friends that I know from another church come by not too long ago, and he's like, your church is different. Like, you guys worship, you sing. It's not like that at our church. And I'm not saying we've got it perfect, but we're a step above where we were and what some other churches are. And we've had it said a lot of times. Sheena just mentioned something about the sound system and stuff. We've been blessed here. But the thing that's changed in the ones that are coming up to worship, it started with them. That, I've had conversations with them where it was like, hey, we feel like we're the only ones standing. Why can't the adults do it? And I'm like, just do it. You just keep going. Don't give up. Just keep going, because you'll see they'll join you. But now a teenager is saying, hey, we've been doing our part. Can they do their part now? So it does go both ways. But what she's saying, what I'm hearing is we've done our part and we've stood and we've worshiped when nobody else was going to, and we've seen a change. But now can the adults stand and worship when nobody else is willing to, and we see even more of a change? Because the one thing you guys can say out there because of these that are up here is you will never be worshiping alone. At some point, one of them is going to come up here. They were a little late getting in class or getting in here today, but at some point, one of them is going to come up here and stand next to you and worship. And so she's just calling you guys forward. Can you come up and worship with us instead of just watching us worship? Can you worship because we're worshiping the same God?
And I think that goes to we send them to camp, and camp is awesome because it facilitates this atmosphere, right? They're in this little bubble. And I think they know they're in the bubble. I think they know by now that camp is a bubble. But just because camp is a bubble doesn't mean that that transformation that they got there isn't available here. It's the same God. It's the same presence. It's the same everything.